For the fantasy basketball season is on its way, and here's a few forwards I would go out there and try to get in a trade. The first one's DeAndre Hunter of the Atlanta Hawks, and DeAndre Hunter, he's having a great season so far, ranked number 36 overall, 16 points, 6.8 rebounds, 2.1 assists for him, 2 threes a game, 85% from the foul line, and 50% from the field. So DeAndre Hunter right now, he's going to be the man over there at the forward position in Atlanta with Bogdanovic and Gallinari out. And even when Gallinari comes back in a few weeks, he's still going to get the minutes. He's still going to start. And last season we saw flashes from Hunter, but this year he's taken the next step, and the Hawks are obviously high on him. And right now, I don't think you got to overpay for him, but he's a player that you should target on the trading end of things and try to get him on your roster, because I think there's still more great games and better performances than we've been seeing from Hunter to come. So I would go out there and get him. The second forward I would try to get and could buy low this week's Rounhaouthakamura of the Washington Wizards. Now, with Thomas Bryant out for the season, I think Hakamura is going to pick up some of the scoring load for Bryant, even though Robin Lopez has been starting at center now, and a good game for him last night, 11 points, 11 rebounds. But last week, Hakamura 13 points, 5 rebounds he averaged, with 2 assists, half a 3 a game, 80% from the line, and 48% from the field. And on the season, his numbers are pretty similar to that, 13.5 points, 4.6 rebounds, 2.3 assists for Hakamura, 75% from the foul line, and 50% from the field. So his numbers are in par, which they were like last season. And his rebounds, they've dropped a little. But Hakamura, he's a solid player. And he's a player you don't really have to break the bank for. And he might be available even in some 10-team leagues and 12-team leagues. So Rounhaouthakamura, he's a forward that I would look to get this week in a trade or pick up if he's out there in your league, because he could give you solid numbers. And he's a sneaky guy that could just fit your roster perfect, and you don't have to worry about him. You know what you'll get from him. The next forward I would try to trade for this week's Aaron Gordon of the Orlando Magic. Gordon, his scoring load might go up now, and his touches per game. When Markelle Fultz out for the season after tearing the ACL last week versus Cleveland, and his last few games since Fultz went down, January 9th, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 50% from the field. And then versus Milwaukee last night in a tough blowout loss, he had 21 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 blocks, 3 threes he hit, and he was 57% from the field was Gordon. And on the season, his stats 14.8, 6.6 rebounds, 2.8 assists. He's adding 1.5 threes a game, 60% from the foul line, and his shooting percentage is up from last season from 43 to 48 so far. So Aaron Gordon, I think his role's going to expand. His shooting's getting a little better from the three-point line. Now the only thing we want to see from him is improving from the foul line. So he's hurting managers in free throws, and his turnovers at 2 a game ain't that great. But I think you could go out there and get Gordon on a decent price, and I think he could break out now with Markelle Fultz out of the lineup, and he could average close to 18 to 20 points a game by season's end. I just have a feeling he's going to break out. The next forward I would try to buy this week's Michael Porter of the Denver Nuggets. Porter, we thought he was coming back last week after he quarantined for 7 days, but then something else happened, and he had to quarantine an additional 10 now. And Porter, he hasn't played a ball game since December 29th, and his return probably won't be till the mid-January now, in the mid-20s or the 20th or something. But Michael Porter, so far on the season, his averages were real great. 19.5 points, 6.8 rebounds, 1.8 assists, a steal, a block and a half a game, 2.8 threes, a nice 56% from the field with 2.8 threes and 87 from the line. So Michael Porter, he was doing his thing before he had to go on the COVID list. And this season, I was high on him as a breakout player. And if the Porter owner, he's frustrated that he's got to wait pretty much the whole month from when he started to be out till end, I would go out there and try to make a move for him. And right now, obviously, his value is at its lowest as Michael Porter, because if he comes back and starts putting up numbers like that, it's going to be almost impossible to trade for him on a steal type of deal. So this is the time to go get Porter. And the fifth and final forward I would try to trade for this week's Brandon Ingram of the New Orleans Pelicans. He might be a player that's tough to trade for this week. Ingram so far this season, he's ranked number 37th, and his stats are great: 24 points, 7.1 rebounds, 5.8 assists, 2.2 threes, 85% from the foul line, and 45% from the field. Last week, Ingram, he averaged 20 points a game with 9.5 boards and 6 assists. So he's going to be a tough player to try to pry away from fantasy owners. But Ingram, if I could do it, I would try to go out there and get him, even at a premium type of price, and sell high on a player who's doing well, like a Chris Booker maybe, or a Christian Wood and a Larry Nance for an Ingram and a small piece, a deal along those lines. Because I think Ingram, we still haven't seen the best from him, and that's scary when he's averaging 24 points a game with 7 rebounds and 6 assists. So Brandon Ingram, like I said, those other guys who are really exploding, I would try to flip them and get Ingram in the deal, even though Ingram's having a great year as well, and owners might not want to trade him, but that's a few forwards I would try to buy this week, heading into week 4 of the fantasy basketball season.